on Tuesday. So on Tuesday we need a comprehensive report in this house on what action has been taken. We should not work like everything is normal. There are people who are being tortured. There's somebody who was tortured in Kasese. So let's have this resolved, and we live in harmony. So I need a comprehensive report on that. Yes?
Madam Speaker, we'll work on that report. Next week it is presented to the House.
I really want a report plus the action taken. Let's have an action. If there are people who are missing, let the owners of these people get to know where these people are. Because we need to coexist. Yes?
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you so much for your kind indulgence. In particular, acknowledging the fact that on several occasions, myself and colleagues on this side have brought to the attention of this House and the country matters pertaining to disappearance of citizens, detention without trial, including our own members of Parliament, the Honourable Sewanyana and the Honourable Segirinya, extrajudicial killings by the state apparatus, including the latest version of all manner of torture. The Honourable Bahati is representing government today, and I'm sure his statement that will come next week is in jest. It's not a serious statement. The last time I tabled...
Honourable Leader of Opposition, just for information, that I personally took an initiative yesterday and today. I have taken a personal initiative to call Attorney General. I have told them I need them in the House. And I don't just want what is being done, but I want action. If there are people who are missing, these people they should show the people where the people are. I have asked for an action. I have taken it upon myself. You may not trust Honorable Bahati, but he's going to deliver the message. And I called the Attorney General when some of you people were with me.
Speaker, I take your guidance very seriously. We had a meeting in your office in November last year with the Honourable Jim Muhwezi, and afterwards with the Honourable David Muhoozi, the Minister of State for Internal Affairs. They were doubting the claims we were making until I tabled lists. I gave them addresses of these citizens, including contacts of their families. That's last year, right, Honourable Speaker. And the fact that the two gentlemen, one in security and another one in internal affairs, did not take that serious. It's very clear they don't think the Speaker is very serious about the demands she made. And for me as a leader, to whom people come every day to complain about the conditions of their relatives, some they have not seen in 2 years, right, Honourable Speaker. And the front bench thinks that's okay. The beauty about this, right, Honourable Speaker, and I take your concern seriously, this matter is not partisan. I expect every member of this House to consider this as an affront on our civility as people, an attempt to grab power from the people by a section of armed people in this country. And as Parliament,
Honorable Leader of Opposition, with due respect, I have guided with humility that I want the report on Tuesday, and you'll speak everything that you want to speak on Tuesday. I do request that, I'm not going to say for once, but I do request that we give government the last chance. If they don't bring the report, then I will allow you to.
Honourable Speaker, the beauty is that this is the House of Parliament. And I've said it severally, that we are the last firewall between the rights of the citizens and an eternally criminal state, especially the one we have today. Right, Honourable Speaker, if you interviewed member by member, including those so timid to speak out, they will tell you, right, Honourable Speaker, we have given these people a lot of time. And as we speak, they are taking us for granted. Just imagine, Honourable Speaker, with due respect, that after the pictures of humiliated citizens, tortured, it takes the indulgence of the Speaker to demand for them to come and make a statement. Are we dealing with serious leaders? Honourable Speaker, for me, this is unacceptable. The appeal of the Speaker for us to give them as Tuesday is understandable. But between now and Tuesday, we shall have a death, we shall have a disappearance, we shall have a humiliation. Honourable Speaker, I want to invite your indulgence as the head of this House today to move with the people that are suffering. And we have this House suspended until they are able to come here and coherently deal with this matter. I have seen the order paper. The order paper is full of very, very serious matters for our business on behalf of our people. What about fuel prices at the face of death? What about the economy in the face of humiliation? What about energy in the face of disappearance? Whose energy is it? Right, Honourable Speaker. Right, Honourable Speaker, this House should enjoin the cries of the people and reject any overtures by the executive to give them time. Right, Honourable Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence for the very last time that you invoke the rules and suspend this House, which is why you don't have on the front bench today a single senior minister. The Minister of Defense has 3 ministers. The Minister of Internal Affairs has 2. No Prime Minister, no Deputy, no Chief Whip.
Honourable,
they must be sneering at you. They are seeing you, Honourable Speaker.
I don't understand when you say senior minister. Now, when you start heckling, you've not even got a ruling to what the leader of opposition is asking. And you're heckling. That's not called for. Leader of opposition, if you feel that you cannot wait for Tuesday, as I have requested, and I've really requested you that kindly, I am with you, let's give it Tuesday. As we look at the issues of fuel that is affecting everybody, now on Tuesday we dedicate, it would be the first item that we must discuss on those people. It should be the first item, members. Because today it is happening on one side, tomorrow it will be on another person. So I am really begging you, we have a crucial matter on the fuel issues happening in the country. And these fuel issues, let's discuss it now, because I need your input on this as an alternative government. I need your input on this. The one making noise, I'll get you out of this house. We discussed the issue of the fuel items on Tuesday. That one I can give you my personal guarantee. If nothing takes place, we'll wait for it to take place first. We'll wait for a report to be discussed by this House. If you're in agreement with me, let's first discuss the issue of the fuel, and then we have the issue of our people who are missing, discussed as a first item on Tuesday.
You know, I have been with you through and through this matter, which is why today I must come to your defense and protect you from this attack from this side, the executive. Because for all your indulgence, they are unmoved. And apparently, I think they are waiting for the House to move with you and support you. I am here today to support you and your endeavors and reject any further government action until this matter is properly and finally addressed. But, Lord Speaker, and I'm very sure if you announce this House suspended until proper action is taken, your members are going to support you from all sides of the House, right, Lord Speaker. I am waiting for a member from this side to rise and say that we can wait until another person is killed, that we can debate other issues until another person is disabled, has his nails plucked out by people who are supposed to protect them, right, Lord Speaker. That citizens are tortured by SFC, by the military at Mbuya. And we are here to say we conduct fuel business. Right, Lord Speaker, with due respect.
Can I ask you, Honorable Law, let's reach a middle ground. The middle ground that now I'm deciding is, instead of us talking about this thing without anything written, can you go and prepare a motion in respect to that? Then you will come and present it. Go and prepare a motion, bring and we debate on that motion and make resolutions on that motion. I can set you free now.
Right, Lord Speaker, your guidance is most appreciated.
Thank you.
My actions and statements I've made are in part protest, inaction, collusion, tacit and direct by the state and its actors. And I am moving
Leader of Opposition,
to do your bidding.
Leader of Opposition, put that in your motion. The hunger is too much.
Right, Honourable Speaker,
Please.
the anger is understandable. I will not put the anger in the motion, right, Honourable Speaker. But I want these people to understand that enough is enough. Right, Honourable Speaker, I'll return to the House in 2 weeks as a protest with a motion. Thank you, right, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you.
Guidance, Madam Speaker.
So you can, I'll wait for you in 2 weeks with your motion. Good luck. Next item.
Item number 3, bills first reading.
Bills first reading. Next item.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Health, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Public Health Amendment Bill 2021 be read the first time.
Please lay the certificate of financial implication.
It is accompanied by the certificate of financial implications.
The Public Health Amendment Bill 2021.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Pardon?
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
This bill stands to be referred to the Standing Committee of Health and in accordance to the Rule 129 of Rules of Procedure. Next. Yes, procedure.
Madam Speaker, I rose on a point of procedure. The Parliament of the Republic of Uganda is the August House, where I believe leaders should have legislative battles. It is not the first time for governments in Africa and in Uganda for us to have issues of this kind. Madam Speaker, it surprises me as a leader who was elected to come and speak on behalf of my people, for good or for bad, when issues in the Republic of Uganda of such a kind happen, and we decide as legislatures to walk out in protest. To walk out in protest than having issues spoken in the House. Because this is the temple of legislation. I therefore stood to say that I don't think whether we are proceeding well as leaders of this country when we move in such a way, because when 10 things happen a year, we shall move out to 10 times. And when shall we solve problems? And this brings me to a question, Madam Speaker, whether Uganda is mature for multi-party democracy, and whether Uganda is ready to champion the growth of multipartyism in this country. I therefore see a lot is lacking. But lastly, Madam Speaker, I think there is a deliberate move by executive to trap Parliament. Because in the last Parliament, Honorable Bahati was a habitual representative of the Ministry of Finance. Again, we have come back in the 11th Parliament, the name Honorable Bahati, and again the same person, this time added on with Honorable State Minister for Finance, are now habitual visitors to the August House. I believe that the purpose for the President to elect a big number of prime ministers and also to have full ministers and their deputies is to make sure that there is total representation of government. These things are rising and are coming in this country because the executive has abandoned their dockets and left us, legislatures, to do their work. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I don't know whether we are proceeding well by the ministers who are concerned, issues that pertains them to be raised when they are always away. I don't know when I saw all the prime ministers in this house. I don't know when I saw a half of cabinet in this house. This is challenging, and it brings tears to the taxpayers of this country. And I think the big cabinet is bringing a burden, and it is really making government look a failure. But I therefore, Madam Speaker, as I still summarize my point of procedure, executives should release Honorable Bahati because he has turned to be a punching bag. Good, bad, left, right, Honorable Bahati. Honorable Bahati needs strength as a leader. If they had known that Honorable Bahati will be always coming to represent, Honorable Bahati would be a prime minister of this country. I rest my case, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable members, I have issues of national importance, but I don't see any of the ministers who is to address these issues. Just like Honorable Macho is saying, Honorable Bahati, everything. The ministers, I am going to forward these issues to Government Chief Whip to make sure that they whip their ministers to be in the House. When a member is raising an issue of national importance, the minister should be there to respond himself, not saying, I am recording and then I'll bring a feedback. Yes, Honorable Silwanye.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, whereas all of us as members of Parliament stand against torture in this country and mistreatment of any Ugandan, I want to strongly condemn an act of members of Parliament walking out, Right Honorable Speaker. Because, Right Honourable Speaker, the only platform that a member of parliament has is here. This is where you are supposed to table your issues. This is where you're supposed to bring all the challenges that is happening in the country. And if we just leave this to go without condemning it, Right Honourable Speaker, it will be unfortunate. So I stand to condemn. If you have a challenge, bring it here, because we have several issues in this country that is affecting our population, that is affecting our people. For example, the issue of torture and abuse of human rights. Right Honourable Speaker, you rightly ruled that the minister, the government, comes back here on Tuesday to give a statement. I think it was wrong, Right Honourable Speaker, for the members on the other side to walk out, because now they have gone to debate from where? Are they going to debate from Nasa Road? Are they going to, because issues should be presented here on the national parliament and everybody knows. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I think next time in the future, we should not proceed like this, because tomorrow, if you have a challenge of fuel, you walk out. The other day, if you have this problem, you walk out. I think we should sit here and not run away from our problems. We should sit here, debate our problems, and then conclude them in the House, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Silwanyi, unfortunately, we don't have control over the members who have walked out. It is their decision to walk out. This is the place where we should discuss issues and resolve. I gave them a solution. They did not respect the solution. So let's continue. I mean, we are representatives of the people. The worst thing I would have done as a speaker is to suspend the House. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. That I'm adjourning the House after I've given you a solution? Never. Because I had a solution that the report is coming on Tuesday and action is being taken on those people. So let's move on.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I rise on Rule 218, subclause 2. Madam Speaker, as you may recall, during the House proceedings held on 26 October 2021, Honorable Martin Hojara Mapenduzi tabled a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to sign and ratify the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, which was referred to the Committee of Foreign Affairs for scrutiny within 45 days in accordance with Rule 218, so Rule 1 of the Rules of Procedure. The committee has since been meeting various stakeholders to dispose of the matter and still awaits to receive views.
Members, free sitting. There is a lot of space this side. Don't squeeze yourselves. Free sitting. Macho is a leader of opposition.
Madam Speaker, if you may allow me to continue. The committee has since been meeting with various stakeholders to dispose of the matter and still awaits to receive views from the critical government institutions on the same. In accordance with Rule 218, Subsection 2 of the Rules of Procedure, Madam Speaker, I write therefore to request you to grant extra time to the committee to enable it to conclude on the assignment. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
How much time do you want?
Madam Speaker, if you may allow 3 weeks, because right now the most critical ministries have not been dealt with, and yet their input is very critical if we have to have a report on this matter. Thank you so much.
We'll give you 3 weeks to bring the report to the House. We need that bill.
Most obliged, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Tala.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, I'm also rising in accordance with Rule 141(2) of the Rules of Procedure of this Parliament that requires the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources to request for time to enable it process the Mining and Minerals Bill. Right Honourable Speaker, as you may recall,
the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, between 5th of October 2021 and 27th January 2022, has sponsored 3 very important bills as follows. 1, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Bill that this Honorable August House passed into an act and has been assented to Parliament. 2, there is the Mining and Minerals Bill that was presented to this House on the 18th of November and is still before my committee for scrutiny. And 3, there is the Electricity Amendment Bill that was presented before this House on 27th January 2022. And we've started processing this bill as well. Right Honorable Speaker, due to the heavy committee schedule between November and January, including the scrutiny of the National Budget Framework paper, my committee has not been able to report back on the Mining and Minerals Bill within the stipulated time. Right Honorable Speaker, right now, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development that is sponsoring all these bills is prioritizing the amendment of the Electricity Bill 2022. So I beg for your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker, that my committee has 2 bills before it. The sponsoring ministry is prioritizing a bill that was presented later, and so for that matter, I'm requesting, in view of the fact that very soon we shall be entering the budgeting cycle, that will again require my committee to scrutinize the ministerial policy statements and process the budgets for 2 ministries and 5 agencies. I'm therefore requesting that this Honorable August House gives us 90 days within which to process the Mining and Minerals Bill. I beg to move. I beg to request. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Chair, I am giving you 3 weeks to have the report in this House. We cannot afford relying on one thing that will give you 90 days. Never. We are giving you 3 weeks.
Most obliged. And for that matter, I will proceed as guided, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Kasolo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. I also raise to request for more time to consider the Physical Planners Registration Bill 2021. Right Honorable Speaker, on 29 September 2021, the Physical Planners Registration Bill 2021 was read for the first time and referred to the Committee of Physical Infrastructure for consideration. On the same date, the Landlord and Tenant Bill 2021 was also read for the first time and referred to the committee for consideration. The committee decided to begin with the latter bill. Along the way, Parliament granted the committee more days to consider the said bill, which was passed this week on Tuesday, 1st February 2022. The committee has embarked on consideration of the Physical Planners Registration Bill 2021 and request for 3 weeks more to enable it to finish the task and present its report for consideration. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to submit this request.
And clerk, mark the 3 weeks. When the 3 weeks end.
Most obliged, Right Honourable Speaker.
Next. Yes. Pardon? Fine. My issue with the matters of national importance, at least I know all issues that are being raised. The ministers are not around. I have these issues of national importance, but no minister is here. Your no line minister.
Okay, Madam Speaker, to let you know that we have the Minister for Finance, we have a Minister for Gender, Public Service, Tourism, and Presidency. So
okay.
And Trade. If there are any issues in that line,
on tourism, raise it.
We can attend to them.
Right Honourable Speaker, I thank you, and I rise on a matter of national importance. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, my matter of national importance regards the so many fires that have gutted forests and properties belonging to Ugandans. Madam Speaker, fires believed to have started from national parks operated by Uganda Wildlife Authority have ended up destroying properties, including crops, the very animals that they protect, businesses, lodges, among others, and this is worth millions of shillings, and Ugandans are losing a lot of money and property. This is because the Uganda Wildlife Authority has failed to create the buffer areas as required to prevent such fires from spreading while they are conducting their bush burning, and this causes the destruction. In the recent past, 3 lodges around the country have been burnt by the fires. In fact, the UPDF barracks at Queen Elizabeth National Park was saved by soldiers before it was gutted down. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, while the Uganda Wildlife Act provides for compensation for injury or damage caused by wild animals, our Constitution under Article 26 provides for the right to own property, either individually or in association with others. This article further makes provision for prompt payment of fair and adequate compensation to those taking or property that has been destroyed. Right Honourable Speaker, it is common knowledge that most business owners, especially in this time of COVID, are operating on loans and hefty loans. But right now, when the properties get destroyed, the Uganda Wildlife Authority gives a deaf ear. Right Honourable Speaker, they have failed to control the fire in the park. They have failed to give inadequate compensation. And I have several petitions, Right Honourable Speaker. After my prayers, you'll allow me to lay the petitions, Right Honourable Speaker. My prayer is that can the Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities explain to this House the plans Uganda Wildlife Authority has in place to have those people whose properties have been destroyed by fires started by Uganda Wildlife Authority compensated. Right Honourable Speaker, I have here several petitions by several people. I have a document from Chambura Parish signed by 100 members of the population. And this is Chambura Parish is in Rubirizi district. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay. They brought for me this document.
Honourable Silwani, a petition should come formally prepare and bring a petition to the House and as per the rules. But you can finish your prayers.
Much obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. I thought I would lay the documents as evidence because the petition has brought me the documents, but since you have guided like that, I'll follow your guidance, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I therefore request the Minister for Wildlife to come and explain, because Right Honourable Speaker, people are in pain, people have lost properties, people have been injured, and nothing is being done. these communities are all over the country. Right, Honorable Speaker, from the areas of Pakwach, when you go to Western Uganda, our areas in Eastern Uganda, all the areas that surround game parks are affected by this, and it does not only affect one district, but it affects the whole country, right, Honorable Speaker?
Information.
Actually, the most recent hotel that was burnt was the one of Honorable Katesh. And I'm not sure if you're waiting for him to take you to court before you call him to talk. None of you has ever called the member. He's your colleague. Instead of calling your member and saying, this unfortunate incident has happened, can we talk? You've not.
Right, Honorable Speaker, allow me to take information from Honorable Abba.
Yes,
she comes from the area near the game parks.
Yes, Honorable Abba.
Thank you very much, Honorable Solomon, for giving way. Right, Honorable Speaker, the issue of massive destruction of property by the wildlife is now a very serious issue. Right, Honorable Speaker, I remember I was in this house. I raised the matter of national importance about an area in Kitgum District, Orom Sub-County, where the elephants are destroying people's crops, people's houses. Right, Honorable Speaker, up to now, nothing has been done. Now, this area not only suffers from the issue of the elephants, there is also the element of cattle raiding. The peace we are talking about in this country, these areas of Orom, Namukora, Omia, Nyima, has never seen it. Right, Honorable Speaker, I really want to seek your advice and also probably ask the Honorable Minister to give us a way forward, because if it's not, the elephants are more important than the lives of the human beings, then we maybe probably need to find a way of dealing with the elephants, right, Honorable Speaker. If the community begins slaughtering these elephants, they will be arrested. But what should they do? We need the Honorable Minister to come up with a clear strategy and answer to this issue. It's not nice to come and stand here every time, matter of national importance, over the same issues, and there is no action being taken. We need to value the lives of Ugandans and their property. I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank Honorable Solomon and Honorable Ellen for raising these issues, and indeed they are pertinent. For the issue of Solomon, indeed I know, and I've been engaging with Katesh. Investigations are still going on with UA to come up with a concrete report from which we can act either side, depending on who could have probably started the fire. But of course, he raised other issues, Right Honorable Speaker, and you duly guided, because I don't have the rest of the information, that when he finishes us with the petition, then we can verify the information and probably respond adequately. On the issue of Honorable Abe, I think you guided, Right Honorable Speaker. Last year we moved across this country, gathered a lot of evidence, and I came to you. We have the report ready to present before Parliament on what we think should be done to solve the human-wildlife conflict once and for all. We have it ready, and whenever you have time, Right Honorable Speaker, we can present it before the House. Thank you.
Clerk, get that report and then give us a report on the burnings. That was the gist of the whole of
information, Right Honorable Speaker.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to seek clarification from the Honorable Minister. Actually, I am not talking about an individual, but I'm talking about something that is happening all over the country, in areas around game parks, Honorable Minister. And several people have been coming to Uganda Wildlife Authority with the complaints, but Uganda Wildlife Authority will just give them a deaf ear. So I wanted you to give us that answer. What does Uganda Wildlife Authority plan to do for these other there are Ugandans who cannot even come here and talk? There are Ugandans who are down there. We are their voices. They are bringing petitions. They are waiting for the Solomons of today who are talking for them. So, Honorable Minister, what is the plan to compensate, including what all other members are saying? What is the plan? And when
Brenda?
Further clarification, Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank you. For the record, my name is Namukta Brenda, Woman MP, Kalira District. I would like to seek clarification from the Honorable Minister because the point that Honorable Abera has given is also affecting my area. I have a swamp called Rumbuye Swamp, and I have several hippopotamuses coming to eat people's plants. It has destroyed all the crops, and at some point, I contacted the wildlife group. The only thing they helped me was to come and shoot bullets.
Honorable Cecilia, can you have a seat because your issue is on the order paper?
They came and shot bullets up. They scared off the animal. And up to now, nothing has been done. Yet, people's crops are being destroyed in this tough period of drought. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Members.
Madam Speaker, procedure.
Members.
Order. Procedure.
Members. A report is going to be brought. Madam Ikiro will put the report for Tuesday. Then we debate this issue exhaustively on the issue of wildlife, on whatever is happening. Can we have Aleper Moses? Who is Aleper Moses?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity, Right Honorable Speaker. For the record, I am Aleper Moses, Member of Parliament for Chekwi County.
No, I was wondering because Acrobat was also standing up.
Okay. Yeah, well, I would like to address myself to a serious concern affecting a section of Uganda People's Defense Forces soldiers, including those hailing from my constituency. In September 2020, EPDF contingent codenamed Uganda Battle Group Ugabag 30 was dispatched for duties in Somalia under the AMSOM peacekeeping mission. The assignment ended in October 2021, and the team returned to the country. The concern, Right Honorable Speaker, is since the completion of their assignment in 2021, the contingent has not received their emoluments for that assignment, which is normally done 1 month after they return from assignment. You will also note that the press has been awash with news that this money has been eaten, in quotes, and no explanation whatsoever has been afforded to the victims and the country at large. My prayer is the Minister of Defense or the UPDF should afford a very comprehensive explanation on this matter, because citizens of this country are really bleeding and making noise about it. Another prayer is the affected persons should be paid their money within this month, since they have waited for long. And you know that this money is normally availed immediately the assignment is over. And then lastly, possibly a select committee of Parliament should be instituted to investigate the matter and bring the report to Parliament within 1 month.
Thank you.
The reason is this to avoid future occurrences which really affect the core of the security of this country. I beg to move. Thank you.
Hajat.
Thank you, Right Honorable Minister. I've heard the concerns of the member who has raised the issues. I know he has raised 3 prayers. Give us some few days, we will bring a comprehensive report to answer the prayers he is looking for. Thank you.
Honorable member, you've heard acrobat.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Members, I want you to be
For
coming.
record purposes,
A minute.
Madam Speaker,
A minute. Members, I want you to come in a big number on Tuesday. We have the succession bill. We will continue with the bills, whether people are there or not.
thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. For record purposes, I am Acrobat Chiza Moses, Member of Parliament, representing Bugendera in the Vundivujo District. Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance concerning the rampant tree cutting and insecurity threats in the mountain slopes of Rwenzori and specifically in Bugendera in the Vundivujo District. Right Honorable Speaker, you are aware that Bugendera and the Rwenzori region is prone to floods and all sorts of problems ranging from insecurity. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, in 2020, we lost 17 people as a result of floods, and in 1997, Madam Speaker, we lost over 1,000 people as a result of ADF, culminating from the bad terrain in the area. Madam Speaker, tree cutting is still rampant up to now as I talk. Madam Speaker, these tree cutters claim to be having orders from above, and they underrate the LOCs ranging from LOC 1, LOC 2, LOC 3. They are untouchable. I wonder where these orders come from, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to make matters worse, these tree cutters are suspected to be collaborators of ADF, for they do not report any ADF infiltration, or as we report, like recently, Madam Speaker, in January 4th, personally, I raised and mobilized the LOCs, the GISOs. We had a meeting. And from the meeting, Madam Speaker, we got a series of reports regarding ADF
Acrobat, what are your prayers? Don't tell us the stories.
Madam Speaker, let me come to the point. Madam Speaker, as what is urgent, Madam Speaker, even yesterday, the members gave me orders.
Tell me your prayers. What are your prayers?
Madam Speaker, the problem is escalating. What I'm reporting is escalating. Because yesterday, near the border, we were attacked. ADF attacked the border.
Okay, what do you want this house to do?
Okay, the prayers now, Madam Speaker. I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker, as the ministry responsible for environment should intervene to stop these tree cutters immediately. Secondly, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Security should investigate these tree cutters, since we don't trust them now because they cannot report the problem of infiltration. Finally, Madam Speaker, we are in collaboration with the UPDF and civilian guides should comb the mountain slopes and the valleys of Renzori Mountain, especially in Bugendera, since these ones border with the DRC Congo. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Government Chief Whip. Now, this is where we get problems. You people, why don't we have ministers in this house? Now, this is an inside talk. Why do you make us look ugly? When opposition raises an issue, ministers are not in the house, they say it is a problem. Now, this is an inside talk. We have 83 ministers. We don't even have 15 here. And there are no senior ministers here. You're going to make us really look ugly in this house. Huh?
Madam Speaker, as we have promised in the past, we will improve on this situation. And as we speak, one of the deputy prime ministers is on the way. And we'll ensure that beginning with next week, at least we have a representative of the ministry, but also to let you know that the minister, the cabinet minister for trade, industry, and cooperatives is here. So we'll ensure that this matter of environment is attended to, and the report, you have some information? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, my colleague, for giving way. Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Speaker. Speaker, I'm sorry, because of the protocols that we go through, I'm so sorry. My Speaker, the issue that has been raised by my colleague, the Member of Parliament from Bugendera County, is very pertinent, and I happen to be a leader from that area. The issue that is being raised here has been raised at several levels, and steps have been taken. But of course, the level at which government works may not be the level at which the speed the members of parliament want it to happen. There is some step already being taken.
No.
I remember yesterday there was an attack by ADF in the neighborhood, a place called Nziapande, just neighboring Lamia border, Busunga. But immediately, when I raised the CDF and the Minister for Defense, a team of soldiers and all the equipment has already reached the site. So the border our soldiers are there. But maybe you cannot control up to inside where there is another government. That is the only challenge. If we could control Congo as well, we would be very, very safe. But we cannot control Congo because Congo is another government with another leadership. So that is the only challenge. But Ugandan borders, right from Congo to the other borders of Elegu and wherever, we are very safe. Thank you.
We need a minister responsible for that to come with a report.
Right, yes.
And as usual, the minister is maybe covering a situation, but we need a minister responsible for that to come with the members, honorable members. I am going for the first time. I am forced. I am going to write to the president and ask him whether he appointed his ministers to be going for only cabinet, whether it is his instruction that the minister should not be coming to the house. I am that writing that letter today. Honorable Kwizera.
Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Right, Honorable Speaker, I have two issues to raise, issues of national importance. One is on appointment of accounting officers, Another one is on rationalization of government. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the Minister of Public Service has issued circulars to government agencies that there should be no more recruitment or filling of positions for those ones who have retired. Yet the minister knows that Parliament appropriates funds for those very officers who are all in post. So bearing in mind that we are going to pass we are now going to have ministerial policy statements, and knowing that we must emphasize on service delivery, why should the minister anticipate rationalization of government without himself coming here to repeal some laws? Instead of repealing laws and abolish those positions, the minister is acting under circulars. My prayer is that when will the rationalization be there, and what is it that Parliament should know? Right Honorable Speaker, that's what I'm praying for.
First, I need a clarification. Did you say that the officers who are about to retire?
Even those ones who have retired cannot be replaced. The vacant positions in government, in the MDAs, the minister has stopped them from recruitment.
They've stopped recruitment.
Which is contrary to different acts of Parliament. My issue number 2 is about appointment of accounting officers. Under Article 164 and 175 of the Constitution, and the Public Finance Management, Section 45, we as a ministry is supposed to have a permanent secretary whose Parliament allocates funds to use in a ministry. But it is the practice of the Minister of Finance to selectively appoint some of their officers who are not permanent secretaries at the level of permanent secretaries. And this one has brought management problems in the different ministries, like Minister of Energy, Minister of Internal Affairs, and Minister of Defense. And we recall, honorable members, that to avoid tempting permanent secretaries to be corrupt, the President of Uganda issued an instruction that a permanent secretary gets a salary which is 15.4 million, although that one is also questionable because a permanent secretary is now earning more than the minister, who earns 11.4 million. But now, the undersecretary who has been appointed as or assigned as accounting officer is earning like another permanent undersecretary who is not earning like a permanent secretary. This one is breeding corruption in those ministries. So may I know why some permanent secretaries are not accounting officers, others are accounting officers, contrary to Article 21 of the Constitution, where they say all of us are equal, permanent secretaries are equal before the law. May I be informed why and what are the qualifications for a permanent secretary to be an accounting officer, while another is not an accounting officer? I thank you.
Thank you, Minister of Public Service.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. And I want to thank the Honorable Member for raising this part. First of all, I would like to assure members that Ministry of Public Service is in the advanced stages of rationalization. We are about to produce a cabinet paper, and 54 agencies are already on the cabinet paper, and we will give you information when it is approved by cabinet. Then the issue of other permanent secretaries are not accounting officers. At the moment, we are in the process of standardizing and harmonizing salaries and structures. I beg that you give us some more time because we are about to finalize and produce also a cabinet paper, and we'll be giving you reports. I beg to submit.
Honorable Byanyima. Honorable Byanyima.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's true that you gave us an assignment to ensure that we look at the issues concerning rationalization, merger, and mainstreaming. It hasn't been easy, but we have done a job that we are soon giving to this House. But the issue is, the Minister of Public Service has gone an extra mile to intimidate all the agencies. They are not given time even to discuss with them any issue. This is the issue we are finding out. Some of them we invite in our committee. Their bosses, the ministers, are telling them, don't go appear to the committee. Some of them come behind to attend because they are scared. It's not easy, but all the same, to cut the long story short, we have done a job, and next week we shall go to meet some of the local government officials, to get their views, especially the chairman LC5, cows, and some of them in the upcountry areas. But otherwise, I can tell you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that the Public Service Ministry has not been very fair to some of these agencies. They come and lecture to them about the structure that is coming up. You will not come back. You will have to look for a job somewhere else. So we don't have, most of our people don't have morale to work. Don't have morale to work. Yet this is something that it took so many years for the government to create these agencies. It can take you a few months to destroy them. We can't go backward. But all the same, Madam Speaker, I am happy we are soon reporting to you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, most of these institutions were formed by Act of Parliament. And I really don't think you should start acting in anticipation by saying so and so should not be renewed, we should not recruit, and that kind of thing. You've been singing of your report going to cabinet. To date, the report, for your information, the report of the committee is ready, and I have a copy. And I don't know where you people get powers. There's a lot of impunity in this country. Where do you get powers to tell an institution that don't appear before a committee of parliament? I want to tell you it is only parliament that makes decisions for this country. Whether good or bad decisions, it is parliament. You're not going to come with a decision from cabinet and impose on us. So don't intimidate these institutions. We want the institutions to work, we want efficiency, but before you present your paper, you're already saying ABCD. Honorable Doug, part of the problem we had in the House was from your office. Part of the problem we had in this House was from your office. We agreed with the Attorney General to send you in the House early to respond to these people, to give them an explanation on how far. You came when the guys had walked out. You guys in Attorney General, help us. We need a report on what is happening. I am only giving you this information because I've seen you going. You came when there was circus here, and now you're going back peacefully. We still have an issue that concerns you here, so you first stay. Macho.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for your guidance concerning an issue to the Minister of Public Service. Madam Speaker, I've raised on a point of clarification. True, we want to appreciate that through your wise guidance, you set up an ad hoc committee. Madam Speaker, the Minister is running. All right. Madam Speaker, through your wise guidance, you set up an ad hoc committee. Through the submission of the chair, Honorable Byanyima, one of the quality leaders from Western, has submitted that they are almost finalizing the report. Madam Speaker, when the minister came here, through her submission, she says they have already, as public service, started to work on the reforms, and they are soon tabling before Parliament. In the last Parliament, Madam Speaker, we had these issues that brought conflict between executive and legislature. I'm therefore one clarification from the minister whether the Minister of Public Service is undermining the authority of the mighty Speaker and the Chair, who directed that a report should be brought before the House. Madam Speaker, this is not to the beginning. The same to the Minister of Education. Education went ahead and abolished teachers' colleges through the National Teacher Policy. When, Madam Speaker, it came on floor and you directed, they have now started also trying to organize to see how to implement that has not gone through the Parliament. Madam Speaker, there is intentional plan which is intended, and that's why I'm not shocked that my brother, the Deputy Attorney General, was smuggling himself out of ministers undermining the August House. And I keep telling them that government should work together as one. Executive and legislature, we should be one. Executive must know that legislature, we are stakeholders in the leadership of this country, and we are partners together, we are not porters. Don't do things and come to impose on us. So therefore, Madam Speaker, I want the minister to clarify whether her office undermines the authority of the Speaker of the Republic of Uganda. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Of course, one thing you should know that we shall not allow to be undermined. As Parliament, we will not allow to be undermined. But what we need to do is to coexist, work together, and Minister, if you're saying your report is ready, present and bring the report. Because for us, we are sending our report to the President, and you see how to harmonize.
Honorable Speaker, with due respect, executive is not undermining the legislature, but each is contributing to nation building, and we indeed intend to work together. There is no animosity between the executive and the legislature because we are serving the same person. And I would like to categorically say that Ministry of Public Service has never intimidated agencies to go to the committee, because we also were invited in the committee and we gave them our report. Therefore, we cannot go behind and begin intimidating other members not to meet the committee, because it was legally formed by the Speaker. Then, Honorable Speaker and members, Ministry of Public Service is implementing a cabinet directive. And there is no way we can stop. There is no way we can stop implementing a cabinet directive as Ministry of Public Service. That will be insubordination. But I want to agree that, Honorable Speaker, let the committee submit to the President the report, as we also submit our report to the same authority. I think there is no animosity in between us. We shall harmonize it. I beg to submit.
Procedure.
There is something you've not addressed on the accounting officers. Can you handle the issue of accounting officers?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to address the issue on who should be an accounting officer raised by Honorable Wagahungu. It is true, Article 164 of the Constitution, 1 says that a permanent secretary or an accounting officer in charge of a ministry or department shall be accountable to Parliament. And when it comes to the Public Finance Management Act, Section 45, 6 is explicit that an accounting officer may delegate a function or responsibility of accounting officer specified in this act to a public officer under the control of the accounting officer. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, whereas the law envisages that a permanent secretary must be accounting officer, it is not always that they must be. There is where permanent secretaries
Information, Honourable Minister.
prefer
Information.
Yes,
Honourable Minister, information. Thank you very much for giving away. If you read the Constitution, Article 174, on the powers of the permanent secretary, functions, the mandate, and you read the D, it says one of the functions is the responsibility for proper expenditure of the public funds given to the ministry. So if the permanent secretary is supposed to be responsible for the for expenditure, then how do you appoint the undersecretary within that ministry? And you know that the decision making is causing a problem. There is an institutional conflict. Why are you creating that conflict? Read Article 174, D. And maybe if we want, the Attorney General can have proper interpretation of the law.
Madam Speaker, the issue I was trying to address is that the law allows permanent secretaries to delegate the function of accounting officer to another officer within the ministry. That is what I wanted to make explicit.
Right, Honourable Speaker. We want the minister to refer to that law that allows the permanent secretary to delegate, refer to that law.
Honourable Kwizera, what was your issue?
Right, Honourable Speaker, is that the appointment of permanent secretaries under 164 and 174 explains their mandate, one of which is to be charged with expenditures in the ministries. But the Ministry of Finance goes to appoint undersecretaries, even without the knowledge and authorization of the permanent secretaries. It has created conflicts. So why can't the Ministry of Finance tell this House who qualifies, and why should the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture be an accounting officer, and that of Energy cannot be? Yet they are all appointed and charged with the responsibility of decision-making on human resource and financial resources of the ministry. I thank you.
You're looking at a situation where an undersecretary is the accounting officer, not the permanent secretary. You see, when you look at Article 174, subject to the provision of this Constitution, the ministry or department of the government of Uganda shall be under the supervision of the permanent secretary, whose office shall be a public office. A permanent secretary shall be appointed by the president, acting in accordance with the advice of public service and the function of the public service. A permanent secretary include what is saying Part D. So the issue, what is raising, how can you have an undersecretary, like in police, is it police? Police, energy.
It is in energy and internal affairs,
where you
and
have
defense.
an undersecretary being an accounting officer. Have you tried to find out who gave them the powers to be an accounting officers?
Under Section 45 of the Public Finance Management, although they give the ST power to appoint accounting officers, there is no undersecretary who should be a vote manager, an accounting officer, where there is a permanent secretary. Unless the other one is disqualified, that is not supposed to be, or is blacklisted by either PPDA or Auditor General.
Anyway, this is something that should be looked at. We may not have an answer now. Maybe there's a reason why that was done. So finance, can you find out what could have happened, and then you report back.
Speaker, when we were enacting the Public Finance Management Act, we envisaged the situation. That time, if I remember properly, Minister of Energy had a permanent secretary who preferred not to be an accounting officer that time. Also in finance, we had a permanent secretary, even the same situation now, who preferred to delegate functions of accounting officer to another office, and other ministries like Honorable Ed is saying. And we said, how can we give this protection of the law? That's how we introduced subsection under 45 of the Public Finance Management Act. That's how we came to introduce 6 to allow to give the accounting officer a leeway to delegate this function. Unless Honorable Kwizera wants to say that it is wrong to delegate, we would come back to the law and amend. But otherwise now, as it is now, the law allows the permanent secretary to delegate the functions of accounting officer to somebody else within the ministry.
Clarification, Honorable Speaker.
When you look at section 45, subsection 6, an accounting officer may delegate the function or responsibility of accounting officer specified in this act to a public officer under the control of the accounting officer. The undersecretary is under the control of the accounting officer. It still goes ahead under subsection 7, where they say, where an accounting officer delegates a function or responsibility under this subsection 6, the accounting officer shall give directives as may be necessary to ensure the proper exercise or performance of the function of responsibility.
Right, Honorable Speaker, some small clarification. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Finance has said that they did it because of finance. I want to inform him that the PSST, in the normal management services, they call them Chief Accounting Officer. So there is no he can appoint himself, because he is the one who appoints other accounting officers, so he cannot appoint himself. Secondly, an accounting officer is supposed to manage 1 vote, not 2 votes. So if there is a treasury vote and there is Minister of Finance vote, cannot be managed by 1 person. That's why you delegated to another secretary. But I want also to put you on notice that this public finance management is violating the Constitution, and it can be challenged.
Anyway, the accounting officers are appointed by the president. That's one thing you should appreciate. They're appointed by the president. PSST is appointed by the president. And once an accounting officer is not there, or even if he's there, the law allows him to delegate. And that's why it is indicated under the Public Finance Management Act, section 45, 6 and 7. Can we have Kamuntu?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Bodu, you're most welcome, Honorable Mohammed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
I want to say I am the acting chief whip, but this morning I was in Mbarara, so I'm just from Mbarara. I wanted to...
Excuse me, just a minute. Okay.
I just rose, Right Honorable Speaker, to comment on a matter which was raised by the Honorable Byanyima regarding how ministries interface with the Parliament. Recently, Right Honorable Speaker, the Speaker ruled on the floor of this House that no committee of Parliament should attend workshops or trainings organized by ministries unless those trainings have been cleared by the office of the Speaker. Similarly, the way we have worked as the executive is that the minister is responsible to Parliament, particularly on matters of policy. And therefore, it is smart and what is required that when a committee of Parliament wants to engage an agency, the requirement is usually that you do that through the minister responsible for that agency. I remember the committee which is handling the issue of rationalization, we had an engagement when they invited the UCC to directly appear without my knowledge as the minister who supervises UCC. And the matter being discussed was an issue before cabinet, and yet UCC does not sit in the cabinet. Therefore, I just wanted to beg your indulgence that the executive works harmoniously with the Parliament. No ministry would not want to come to a committee and explain, but I think it is proper that when the committee or any committee wants to interface with an agency of government, you liaise with the minister, particularly matters of policy, because there is no way UCC will come and start discussing matters of cabinet, which they may not even be in full knowledge of. So we needed to harmonize how we relate, so there is no friction at all between Parliament and its committees and the ministries and the agencies. So I thought I should clarify that, because that has been the practice all along.
Okay.
I thank you very much, Right Honourable.
Thank you so much, Kamuntu.
Thank you, Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker, my name is Kamuntu Moses, Member of Parliament, Rwanda West. I'm rising on a matter of national importance. I have a community in Rwanda, the Pygmies, the Batwa community that was evicted from Gindi Peninsula National Park and the Chua Forest Reserve. They were evicted 1990, up to today they have never been resettled. They have been surviving on well-wishers, and that well-wishers, including me, that were hit by Corona, now cannot afford supporting them. I have over 5,000 living in cages on steep slopes around Gindi and the Chua Forest. When they were supporting the COVID relief, vulnerable groups, they were left out. Today, as I speak, Right Honorable Speaker, they are dying one by one, and when they attempt to go back to the forest, they are killed by forest rangers and buried in the forest. My prayer is, Madam Speaker, we should state these people back to the forest, like aborigines in Australia have done. If we cannot get them where to stay. Number two, we should urgently get them food relief because they are starving, they are dying one by one. And last week, one family almost killed their last daughter to feed the rest of the members. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and the Honourable Kamuntu for raising the matter. Indeed, there are people called the Batwa that were moved out of the forests and protected areas and settled elsewhere. I know it hasn't been done fully. I've been to Rwanda, interacted with some of them, but I think it's high time we agree as both sides that we should find a comprehensive package for them so that we can be able to support them outside these areas so they can live harmoniously. But having them back in the parks would be very dangerous for them and even for the wildlife.
You're not going to agree as both sides because Kamuntu is also from this side.
Oh, okay.
So what you need to do is to agree as cabinet.
Yes.
You're
Thank
not
you.
from that area.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. So I agree with Honorable Kamuntu. This is in Vundivuja and across the country. So I believe we shall come up with a program that can see how we solve their issue once and for all.
Honorable Kamuntu, follow it up with him in his office. Final Ochero.
The Right Honorable Speaker, for record purposes, I'm Ochero Norman, Member of Parliament from Labur County. Labur County is found in Abim District, and Abim District is definitely located in Karamoja. It makes me also located there. Madam Speaker, by the fact that I've said I come from Karamoja already tells the members of this house that I come from one of the most disadvantaged part of this country. Madam Speaker, I've risen up on matters of national importance just on two grounds. One of them is insecurity that pertains there. Right Honorable Speaker, second is therefore compensation. The Right Honorable Speaker, it's good to make members here know exactly what is happening inside Karamoja. The Right Honorable Speaker and members, it is extremely very unfortunate. It is extremely very unfortunate that there's part of this country called Uganda. That there's part of this country called Uganda where on a daily basis, Right Honorable Speaker, we lose over 13 people on daily basis. It is so serious. Members, the Right Honorable Speaker, before you pray, members need to know, always prayer follow problems. You don't hurry to pray when you have not assembled the problem properly. I beg members, indulgence of members and the Right Honorable Speaker, that I alert this house briefly, just briefly, what pertains on the ground, so that we appreciate. Members, there are serious problems that are inside Karamoja. For example, the Right Speaker, as we talk, Karamoja has become a theater of wars. It is now serious. It is no longer a Karamoja issue. Because as we talk, the Toposa who are in Sudan are now liaising with the part of the Karamojong in Gabon. The ones in Kenya are now liaising with the ones side in Moroto and are now fighting inside Uganda. As we talk, a lot of Ugandans are flooded inside Karamoja. No wonder, even the impact is now being felt in other neighboring districts. So the trouble in Karamoja does not all affect Karamoja. The trouble in Karamoja affects even neighboring districts. And it causes a lot of financial loss to this country. Madam Speaker, I want to call upon members, first and foremost, to join us in calling upon government to take action on this matter. First and foremost, Madam Speaker, I want to allay one fear that people whom we have causing trouble in Karamoja now are not Karamojong now. They are bandits. It would be unfortunate, colleagues, I want to humbly request, it would be unfortunate to say that Karamojong are disturbing. Because even in Masaka, when some people were cutting people with pangas, we didn't say the Baganda were cutting people. The problem now is that we generalize.
Can you give us your prayer?
Madam Speaker,
what
my prayers, that one, now that, for example, where I come, my constituency, Labur County, from 1979, we lost all resources, everybody was displaced. Everybody was displaced. We lost all animals to rustling. Even in Karamoja, other districts, as we talk, animals were handed over to the soldiers to protect. We even lost those ones. So as we talk in Karamoja, right from the one protected by government and other animals owned by people are all taken. Now, my first humble prayer is that there is compensation going on in this country. Ladies and members, Madam Right Honorable Speaker, my humble appeal is that this government finds a budget so that compensation equal takes place in Karamoja, like other districts that are currently taking place. the Right Honorable Speaker, the disarmament budget. Right Honorable Speaker and members, I beg your indulgence that in the last time, in the year 2002, 2010, there was a successful disarmament in Karamoja. Why? Because government provided adequate funding for the exercise, adequate resources for the exercise. Right, Honorable Speaker, as we talk, now with the insecurity, there's an assertion that there's disarmament. Disarmament not coupled with resources. Therefore, you can see the escalation of insecurity. We now beg that in this coming budget, that we want to see a Karamoja specific budget, a budget specifically for disarmament in Karamoja by government of Uganda. Madam Speaker, my humble appeal also is that I wanted to bring it in form of promotion, Madam Speaker, is that we need to cut the cycle of the raiders. Members, raiders, people graduate to become raiders. People graduate. From childhood, you are born in a kraal, you don't see a school, you only see a gun and cows.
Can you conclude?
Madam Speaker, I think this one I need to bring a private member's bill. Urging government.
Information, Madam Speaker.
Urging government to provide free and compulsory primary and secondary education, such that we cut the cycle of raiders. Because people graduate.
You see, you've intermingled your issue.
Information,
You
Madam
now cannot understand what you need. One, you're talking about resources. You're not the one doing disarmament. How sure are you that the disarmament is not being, the people doing the disarmament are not well facilitated? Because the security that is doing it, it's not you. So the other people have a classified budget. You may not be able to know. And then secondly, you're talking about compensation. The Attorney General will talk about compensation. However, you need to be secure first before you, please sit. You need to be secure first before anything is given to you. Because even if we are to do the compensation now, then it will go. Attorney General compensation.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Ochero Jimbrick is my friend. I listened carefully, but I had failed to understand his presentation. Now that you say it has something to do with compensation, and he mentioned the fact that he's from the Karamoja sub-region, the President has pledged to give me a directive specifically on some areas in Karamoja. But currently, as a ministry, as the Attorney General's chambers, the compensation we are carrying out is for the 3 sub-regions, for which verification has already been done and money allocated. That is Acholi, Lango, and Teso. But the President has agreed to extend to the other sub-regions and is going to give us clear directives and guidelines on where those places should be.
Thank you. Members, there's something I need to clarify that happened yesterday, where Honorable Panado said Honorable Bahati was a shareholder in Aponye, Uganda. The shareholders, I endeavored to send my legal team to go and get a list of the shareholders. The shareholders are Apollo Nyegambere, Harold Yamugisha, Annette Trevase, and then Brodis. Those are the shareholders. I have not seen Honorable Bahati anywhere in the shareholding, and maybe that was just a misstatement from Honorable Panado. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
for the wonderful clarification. I think now Honorable Bahati can rest. Right Honorable Speaker, the reason people are very uncomfortable with that issue, which I knew definitely was wrong, was a wrong allegation against the Honorable Bahati, is because the way we have handled the issue of compensation of traders of Ugandan origin in South Sudan. Right Honorable Speaker, we've talked about this issue. This House has discussed this matter. People have lost their lives, have lost property, but we are all looking away. The notion that a few shall be helped while others move on with loans and have their properties and companies go under the par is what is creating that discontent and bringing my brother here, Honorable Bahati, in all that circus. I remember, Right Honorable Speaker, I think it's a year ago, the Honorable Bahati committed on this floor of Parliament and stated that by this time, nearly all claimants will have been screened and Ugandan government will have made an intervention to see that we help these people recover their resources. Why people, Right Honorable Speaker, invest in the strength of a nation is that a nation must stand for them during times of trial. Right Honorable Speaker, time after time, we've approved here monies meant for compensation, and only beneficiaries are about 10. Right Honorable Speaker, that cannot continue. Uganda must work for all of us. It must work for all our constituents. Small people lost trucks, lost everything. We want to see the Ministry of Trade and Finance now come back with a meaningful answer on when and how our people will be compensated, or on when they will give a leverage to also others to have a say. Otherwise, people are committing suicide, Right
Honorable, this is actually in the, an item in the order paper.
Oh, okay.
We are going to get a report. However,
yes.
I went and looked for the agreement that was laid on table that time that was signed for the 10 companies. Now, the 10 companies that were paid, and I really understand why Honorable Bahati was suffering. Because when you look at the directors of Aponye, are the same directors of Rubia, who got all paid. But Honorable Bahati is not a member. But there was a disclaimer in the agreement, in the MOU between Uganda government and South Sudan government, where it is said, unverified claims. The presumption was the other people who were not paid were unverified. Now, what the agreement says is, the parties agreed that any eligible but unverified claims by Ugandan traders shall be verified by a joint verification team to be constituted within 30 days from the date of signing this agreement. The date of signing this agreement was in 2016. The 30 days have not passed. The verification team was not formed. Honorable Minister, can I have a verified list in 2 weeks' time? A verified team. I know you're new in that ministry. You may not have known the history, but we need a verified team. The verification was supposed to be by a team constituted by 2 governments. It was not to be done by Ernst & Young. What they did was to give Ernst & Young, which is against the agreement. Yes, Minister, Budu, you sit.
Right, Honorable Speaker, before the minister comes in, you're actually very right, with your indulgence. And I would like to draw a scenario. The government of South Sudan states that Lubega supplied me. It doesn't deny. Then the government of Uganda comes and says, Lubega must prove to us that he supplied you. And this is not money to be paid by Ugandans. This is money where Uganda is guaranteeing, but South Sudan has accepted to pay. Then you find that the same Ugandan government or some of its officials, through schemes, come up blocking their own people from accessing payment. And that's where we are talking about the equity. That what basis did you use to approve the 10? That you deny the rest of Ugandans who have lost property, whose families have lost people, some have been killed, and you say, come and prove to me that your person died. But the South Sudanese have already said in their report that we have no doubt Mr. X or Mrs. X supplied us. The role of Uganda...
Honorable, that will be debated when they bring the list of the 23 and harmonized, including the amounts that they are supposed to get. Yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank you for making that clarification and confirming that I have no interest in those companies. Yesterday, when my colleague raised this issue, I got a little bit feel betrayed because a very good friend of mine. So I wanted to say that now that we have cleared that, I really want to forgive Honorable Panado for making that false allegation. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and honorable members. The rules of procedure require us to treat each other with decorum and courtesy, as Honorable Sereko is reminding us. Yesterday, an honorable member of parliament stood on the floor and said, those companies which were paid are owned by these ministers, and he was looking at me. Then later on he said, the Honorable Bahati, he mentioned the Honorable Bahati. And the records of parliament have Honorable Bahati as somebody who is dishonest or who was conflicted as he did his work. The honorable member pledged that today he would bring evidence, but he has conveniently absented himself. Probably he failed to get the evidence. May I move that we move according to Rule 229, that his submissions be expunged from the records of parliament, because people in the future who will read the answer, much as Honorable Bahati has forgiven me, but they will find His Honorable Panado interfering with it. Right, Honorable Speaker, the rule reads like this, that where the Speaker is of the opinion that the words that have been used in the debate are defamatory, indecent, unparliamentary, or undignified, the Speaker shall order that such words be expunged from the official record of Parliament. Although Honorable Bahati has forgiven the Honorable Peter Mugema, but the record shall keep that while Honorable Bahati was in finance, he was conflicted, which is not correct. So may I request that you find it appropriate to rule in favor of this section 229 of the rule, and you have that submission of Honorable Panado expunged from the record of Parliament.
You see, Honorable Minister, I have made a clarification which is even beyond expunging that from the record. But it would be unfair for us to do it in the absence of Panado. I want Panado to come and do it himself, because now I have evidence that Bahati is not a director in any of the companies. He's going to come. I'm going to summon him to come. He must do it. Next item.
Item number 4, laying of papers, report of the Auditor General of the financial year ended 30th June 2021.
Honorable Commissioner. Commissioner, I can see Commissioner Esther there. Pardon? Where is Silvani? Honorable Commissioner. Honorable Commissioner, read the title of the book.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand here to lay on table a book from the Office of the Auditor General.
A report.
Okay, report from the Office of the Auditor General entitled Report of the Auditor General to Parliament for the financial year ended 30th June 2021. I beg to lay.
Thank you. I refer the relevant parts of the committee report from Auditor General to respective public accounts committees. To respective public accounts committees, which include PAC, local government, PAC Central, and COSASE. I would like to remind these committees that under Article 163, Commissioner, can I have order in the House? Order. I would like to remind the committees that under Article 163(5), the House has 6 months within which to consider, debate, and take action on this report. I therefore expect the committee to report back within 6 weeks, within 5 months from today. I also urge the committees to desist from cherry picking of different committees, of different institutions. They should look at all the institutions that have been audited. Don't leave UCAA and rush for REA, rush for ABCD. All the institutions must be audited and reported back to this House for a decision to be taken, and I am urging you to avoid having a backlog in the committees. Please handle the committees' reports and finish them, and bring back the reports to the House at an appropriate time. Especially these accountability reports, and the chairs are hearing wherever they are, they will handle them, and the committee members. Next item.
Item number 5, statement by Minister on the fuel crisis in the country.
A statement from the Minister. Honorable members, as you recall, while this House was on recess, the country suffered a shocking rise. Honorable Minister, first sit. I'll call you to speak. Honorable members, as you recall, while we were on recess, this country suffered a shocking rise of the fuel prices, which affected almost the whole economy. And we are working very hard as a country to revive the economy as part of the post-COVID-19 breakdown recovery. I tasked the relevant minister to come up with a statement to this House for a debate. I also directed a committee of tourism trade to go to the field to check on our reserves and then come back and inform this House. Remember, there was a letter that was written from opposition that we should recall the House to come and discuss the issues of the fuel, but our committees were already working at that time, and we felt that it was not necessary to call the House because something was already being done. We will receive the two reports, a report from the minister and then the report from the committee. Then we debate them at go. We're supposed to receive 3 reports. One was from the leader of opposition, but in the absence of the leader of opposition, we'll debate the 2 for now. Then the other one will be debated maybe when the next fuel prices go up again. Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, this report was made immediately when the crisis set in. And we came to this place, the House was postponing it for some time. And maybe when I will read, some members will say, that's the whole report. But this is the report which was uploaded in your iPads. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, concerns were raised over the petrol scarcity and escalating pump prices for petrol, and the need for Parliament to be informed about the causes of the scarcity and rising prices. Right Honorable Speaker, the purpose of this statement is to explain the current fuel supply situation, high pump prices for petrol in the country, causes for the petrol product scarcity, and options available to stabilize supply of pump prices. Uganda is a net importer of petrol products and operates a liberalized market, where prices are determined by forces of demand and supply. The sub-sector is guided by the Petroleum Supply Act of 2003 and the attendant regulations and guidelines. Local pump prices have been competitive until January 2022, when petrol prices increased due to scarcity. 95% of the country's petroleum product requirements is supplied through Kenya route using the open tender system, which Uganda joined in 2011, after a race of engagements with the Kenyan government. The OTS stabilized the supply to Uganda, and the supply interruptions used to occur during the Christmas and Easter travel festivals were addressed. The remaining 5% of Uganda's product requirements are supplied through Tanzania, which has not been popular due to the long distance and associated transport costs, which results in high landed prices per liter. Honorable Speaker, fuel supply shortages. In the week commencing 1st January 2022, the country experienced sharp supply drop of petroleum imports, in which the 10-day stock requirements reduced to 7 days for diesel, 4 days for jet oil, and 0 days for petrol by 10th January 2022. Reduction in stock levels and the resultant stock of petrol in the country was caused by the control of COVID-19 spread, when the Ministry of Health gave a directive that required all truck drivers to be tested. The decision resulted in a riot by truck drivers, which even blocked petroleum trucks that had been given priority lanes to secure supply of petroleum products. To secure supply to the airport, my ministry had earlier got no objection from Kenya Pipeline Company to work during Christmas holidays and load Jet A1 transit trucks to Uganda. However, during the driver strike, even Jet A trucks to Entebbe were blocked. The issues were escalated by the breakdown of the scanners operated by Uganda Revenue Authority and Kenya Revenue Authority to clear the goods at the entry points. I am further advised that even the last week, one of the scanners again broke down. As of 24th January 2022, the vehicle queue on Malaba and Busia side were of a distance of 35 kilometers and 40 respectively. You may note that petroleum products are highly flammable, and this is being worsened by mixing the trucks, ferrying the products with dry cargo. This calls for the need to beef up safety and security measures to avoid related accidents. The stock out in Western Kenya has instated oil marketing companies to pick products from Nairobi, which requires additional 2 days to deliver the products into the country. Localization of products meant for export was the introduction of a new transit system, tracking system by Kenya Revenue Authority, which requires trucks to install new tracking devices, also affected product supply into the country. Prior to 2016, Honorable Speaker, when KPC infrastructure was constrained, my ministry used to allocate storage space in the Kenya system to Uganda's active oil marketing companies that were importing products to Uganda. Even with this constrained storage space, Uganda was well supplied, and Uganda's pump prices were and remained competitive in the region. KPC has improved its infrastructure with a new line from Mombasa to Nairobi, improved storage space in Nairobi, and completed the jetty at Kisumu, which are in position to keep the region well supplied with no need for allocating storage space. Since taxes are paid at the loading terminal, Uganda's oil marketing companies can load petroleum products from Mombasa, Konsa, Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret, and Kisumu. So even when there are low stocks in Western Kenya, my ministry usually collaborates with the Kenyan authorities to load products in other terminals, including Jomo Kenyatta International Airport for Jet A1 to Entebbe. Irrespective of the current delayed clearance at Mombasa, at Malaba and Busia, Entebbe International Airport has remained active and has not given a notice to airmen. However, with the current delays that have adversely affected the turnaround time for trucks, we continue to critically monitor supply of Jet A1. From the pipeline, road transport is used for almost all products since the existing wagon ferries on Lake Victoria can only bring a maximum of 80 million liters of diesel per month. Yet, the current normal monthly total consumption is 195 million liters. Currently, the wagon ferries cannot lift petrol because the loading facilities for petrol at Kisumu have not been commissioned. In addition, the private facilities owned by Mazi Infra Uganda Limited, scheduled for commissioning in June 2022, will improve utilization of lake transport by oil marketing companies. Some oil marketing companies still import 5% of the industry requirement through Tanzania, although the route is still more expensive by USA dollars 60 per 1,000 liters. The road which used to pose challenges was improved by Uganda, by United Republic of Tanzania. In this respect, some companies are using the route. The oil marketing companies have also been obligated to keep the 10 days operational stock as required by the Petroleum Act of 2003. The move is partly responsible for the current stock levels for diesel and Jet A1, which remained in stock irrespective of a long impasse at Malaba and Busia. Uganda's oil marketing companies have private storage capacity at their active depots, excluding storage at service stations, of 62,673,596 liters. When combined with the government storage facility at Jinja of 30 million liters, now operated by Uganda National Oil Company in a joint venture with the One Petroleum Limited, This results in a total national storage capacity of 92,673,596 liters. Ministry has continuously requested for funds amounting to $30 million to restock the reserves, but this item has remained unfunded. The Ginger storage facility can store 20 million liters of diesel, 10 million liters of petrol. The facility can be served by both road and railway transport, and there are plans of connecting a pipeline that will supply product to the terminal from a barge on Lake Victoria. Plans are underway to develop the Kampala storage terminal at Namwabula, Mpigi, with a first phase of 140 million liters expected in 2024. The facility will consequently be expanded to its full capacity of 300 million liters after 2 years, in line with the refinery completion. Fuel prices, Right Honorable Speaker, Ugandan's palm prices have been stable and will move with the global trends until January 2022, when petrol prices increased due to scarcity. The price for petrol has increased by Uganda shillings 550 from 4,450 per liter from the time the prices increased, when there was scarcity. This is the year when they declared that don't move, the drivers rioted. Okay, I'm saying per liter, as at 17 December 2021 to 5,000 per liter in January 2022. Over the same period, the price for diesel has remained stable. Before the increase, things were okay. Due to the fact that farm prices are determined by the market, the price of diesel, which is available, has remained stable, while petrol, that is gas, forced some traders to buy from other retailers that have petrol to resell at the pump prices. And consequently, those secondary retailers sell at high prices to recover the money that is invested in buying at pump prices. You see, when there was scarcity, those who didn't have the price, the fuel, went to those who had. Then they went and took to theirs. As that happened, those who took the fuel to resell increased the prices. And this was very fast, by the way. You could not, the happening was very quick. You know, what you call the speculators are very good at guessing. Together with the associated handling costs, with supply anticipated to return to normal at the end of this month, prices are expected to be competitive again, because fuel now coming. You will reach, and it will reach the normal, the former ranges. You will recall that in September 2021, Kenyan motorists were traveling to eastern Uganda to refuel their vehicles and transit trucks were all buying petrol from Uganda. It was that time when the price was really competitive and stable. Even those there were now coming to buy from Uganda. And it was normal. No, I have told you the year already. I say from the year, that's 2000 September. In view of the above, therefore, the high petrol pump prices of petroleum products are caused by product scarcity, and once supply returns to normal, prices will stabilize. On the other hand, margins of oil marketing companies have stagnated in their efforts to keep them competitive. In addition, their return on capital employed has lowered as a result of using more money to trade in the same volumes. On the other hand, consumers have increased expenditure on petrol in conducting their daily businesses. This has in turn increased private transportation costs, which further impact negatively on our travelers, people moving up outside. So those ones are facing problems because the prices then became very high. Palm prices per liter to Eldoret and Kisumu in Kenya are shillings 130.3, that's Kenya shillings, for petrol, and shillings 101.32 for diesel. At the exchange rate of Uganda shilling 34 per 1 Kenya shilling, it comes to 4,424 and 3,785 for the two products respectively. This implies that, on average, the prevailing petroleum price in Uganda, Uganda shillings, different we have. They are 576 above those in Kenya due to scarcity. Eldoret and Kisumu have been used because they are the main trading terminals for Ugandan products. From this analysis, it is evident that competition, when supply is normal in the downstream petroleum subsector in Uganda, has taken root and thereby rendering the intended benefits to the population. Once supply constraints at the border are addressed, prices of all products will return to normal. By now, they have returned to normal and competitive for the benefit of all customers. Other constraints. We still have problems of supply as a result of constraints in the border, clearance, thereby forcing some of the marketing companies that I'm against to buy at retail. That's when it became so bad, and further retail. These are the results of increased palm prices and declining margins for companies and dealers. This increase of palm price ultimately increases the cost of living. Once the clearance in the borders and supply, together with the palm prices, should return fairly to normal, and we are saying they will become normal by this month. My ministry continues to engage Uganda Revenue Authority on this matter. Why should things go? Some people say they are high taxes. Action taken in order to expedite the clearing expenses at the border and Malaba border entry. So the meeting we had, Ministry of Energy and Trade, Ministry of Works and Trade, ministers went to the border with some of our representatives. So some rules were immediately instituted. The testing of COVID for truck drivers have been handled and are being altered. We are not going to do this until further notice, lest we discuss. These abrupt decisions can cause problems. I have directed LCPA SA, the company undertaking fuel marking at MPT points, to have their services available on a 24-hour basis. Instead of staying 12, then you go and sleep and tomorrow. No. At the 2 border points, with effect, we have already done it. That was January 2022. As government, we plan to put in place a priority route with one special clearance point at the border. And working with URA, our trucks have used the newly constructed road from Busia border to Lomino, Mzita, Jinja Road. Instead of following the one going towards Tororo, there is a new one now coming, place called Lomino, and joins the Jinja Road. There is a need for bilateral talks, which have already initiated with the Kenyan authorities on issues pertaining haulage allocation, prioritizing export market, among others. We are telling those people you should give us enough fuel all the time, not to waste our time and it will cause delays. Building capacities for various players in the petroleum supply chain to form association for better communication with ministry, governments, in addition to having regular meetings with various players in the value chain. In the event that the pump prices go beyond the acceptable levels, the Petroleum Supply Act under Section 30 empowers the minister responsible to take action on the errant operators. The action can constitute a closure of petrol stations, issuance of penalties, or revocation of licenses in extreme cases. If a company becomes defiant completely, what do we do? Some action must be taken. There is a need to introduce a tax rebate for products from the southern route through Tanzania in order to diversify the supply route. I have informed you that the fuel coming from Tanzania attracts higher prices because the suppliers say the route is long. So we say if a tax rebate is imposed, so as when that fuel lands Uganda, it attracts the same prices like that coming through Kenya. The medium and long-term solutions is to invest in fuel storage reserves to enable the country to deal with such circumstances in a sustainable way. These shocks, when they happen, they affect us. But if we had huge volumes of reserve, then it would take some time to discuss with them. At the moment, they just open their mouths and say, we have stopped, finish. We are crying inside here. Should be thinking also. Right Honourable Speaker and members of Parliament, as I conclude, I wish again take this opportunity to thank you and the August House for listening. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Thank you for the statement. And as we said, we'll have all the statements at a go, and then we'll debate. Can we have a brief statement on the status of the cargo traffic flow at Busia border that was raised by Honorable Macho, Honorable Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I thank you for the opportunity to the government to provide an update on status of cargo traffic flow at Busia border. I also thank the Honorable Member for raising this matter for the attention of this House. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, we indeed experienced an interruption in traffic flow at Uganda-Kenya border as a result of introduction of the new COVID-19 containment measures in mid-January.
Use a microphone, move it near you.
In mid-January, occasioned by the desire of government to stem the spread of the newly discovered COVID-19 variant at the time. The two governments of Kenya and Uganda have since worked to normalize the traffic flow. This was informed by the new science findings, which indicated that the variant was not as much a threat as earlier variants. As such, containment measures had to be relaxed accordingly. Strategically, the government conducted engagement with Kenyan authorities and agreed on a common mitigation approaches to deal with the new variant while ensuring smooth flow of international trade. Mutual recognition of each other's test results was upheld, and this has greatly helped us normalize traffic flow. Country traffic is flowing normally. I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. As I said, we will have a debate on all the three. You want to present for opposition? No, I have a report from the Committee of Tourism. The chairperson of Committee of Tourism. And since the report was uploaded, kindly just summarize. Give us your observation and your recommendation.
Thank you, Right Honorable. First and foremost, on behalf of the committee, we wish to extend our sincere appreciation for the support you gave us in executing this task. I beg to lay the minutes and supporting documents for the report on tourism, trade, and industry.
Thank you.
Report of the Secretarial Committee on Tourism, Trade, Industry on the fuel crisis in the country. Honorable members, for the interest of time, I will be referring you to the pages where most of the information is and summarizing a few details. On page 1, it's the introduction. I'll give you a brief of the background. The fuel is a key economy driver since the factors of production depend on fuel. The fuel crisis in the country emanated from the alleged fuel scarcity in circulation at the various fuel pumps and stations. So all that information is on page 1. Page 2, we have the backdrop of the committee's oversight exercise. Page 3, we have the rationale. Page 4, allow me to briefly give you the committee's terms of reference. The committee adopted the following terms of reference. 1, to ascertain the causes of fuel scarcity and the skyrocketing fuel prices in the country in general and Hoima in particular. 2, to examine the contribution of UNOC as a government enterprise in propelling the government agenda in stocking and maintaining fuel reserves that can make interventions in times of need when there is fuel scarcity in the country. 3, to scrutinize the utilization of funds provided by the government of Uganda to UNOC Enterprise. 4, to propose recommendations to enable the efficiency and effectiveness in the operations of UNOC as a government enterprise in a bid to support it and in the achievement of its objectives and to ensure the creation of a positive impact on the people of Uganda. Page 5, we have the methodology. We carried out field visits to Malaba, Busia border points. We visited the Ginger Storage Terminal. We visited Hoima district respectively, and we also entered into the western part of Kenya at the Busia border. We had meetings with key stakeholders. We had the memoranda received from various stakeholders, the LC1 chairperson, the area members of parliament of Hoima, and all the other leaders as stated in the report. We also had desk research and triangulation of findings. Page 6, allow me to go straight into the causes of the fuel crisis. The first cause was the COVID-19 testing at the border, which I believe the Honorable Minister has stated that it was scrapped off. So I may not need to go deep into the detail. However, allow me to present the committee's recommendations. The committee observed that previously truck drivers were allowed entry into the country based on negative results obtained elsewhere within a 48-hour time frame along their journey. However, with the change in the testing, truck drivers started a protest against the new fees, insisting on abandoning the process, hence causing a 10-day gridlock. This consequently reduced the fuel supply in the country, leading to the hiked prices. The committee notes that it is unclear as to how many of the trucks involved in the strike were fuel transport trucks. What we're trying to say is, much as this could be a cause, we are not sure how many of the fuel trucks in that queue were actually fuel transport trucks. Second cause, 6.2, the depletion of super petrol both in Kenya and Tanzania. According to One Petroleum Uganda, the fuel crisis was also further compounded by the depletion of super petrol in both Kenya and Tanzania. However, it was observed that the diesel was not greatly affected since, aside from the diminished numbers of trucks available for reload, diesel stocks were sufficient in Kenya and only suffered from logistics. Majority of the mainland Uganda receives fuel primarily from Kenya, while part of western Uganda is supplemented from Tanzania. In the month of January, both these gateway countries had vessel scheduling delays. One, in Tanzania, owing to the increased demand from Zambia and Malawi. In the months leading to December 2021, there was accumulated backlog of super petrol vessel demand as compared to the supply. This impact was felt in January 2022 on a petrol vessel, delaying due to other vessels being scheduled before them. The local Tanzanian market had already received enough products in December, and as such was spared from the shortage in January. In Kenya, there was a mix-up in the vessel scheduling, which wouldn't have been a problem if enough trucks had returned to load the fuel. In Kenya, super petrol vessel lineup was as follows: MT Clio, arrival date 25th December to 29th December. These are the scheduled dates of the vessels bringing fuel to East Africa. 2, MT Front Future, between 30th December 2021 to 2nd January 2022. And lastly, MT Navig and Promise, between 17th of January to 21st of January. MT Front Future was scheduled to arrive between 30th December 2021 to 2nd January 2022, delivering super petrol to the open tender system in Kenya. However, it was delayed by over 10 days, arriving on 12th January 2022. The committee observed that the vessel delays caused a super petrol supply shortage, which happened as companies were depleting their super petrol stocks and customers were panic buying, resulting into faster depletion of the super petrol stocks. It should be noted that as a country we consume about 6.5 million liters a day, and yet the existing strategic stocks have the capacity of only 10 million liters of super petrol and 20 million liters of diesel, which is only equivalent to 3 days of the country's stock. The third cause of the crisis is hoarding of fuel. According to the URA Commissioner for Enforcement, URA has cleared more fuel trucks in January than it did in December. Between 1st December and 31st December 2021, URA cleared an average of 122 fuel trucks per day. By January 2022, by January 22nd, of 2022, that day of the committee's oversight visit, URA had cleared on an average of 126 trucks in January, which is much, much more than the daily average of 122 fuel trucks cleared per day in December and several months before. If you can upload the graph for members to see. The average number of stocks in June 2021 of trucks in June 2021 per day, we cleared 108. When you look at the years, the months, September 2021, we cleared 113 on average per day. In December, we cleared 122 trucks on average per day. In January, where we had the shortage, we cleared 126 trucks per day, which is much more. And these are supported by the taxes these companies have been paying and the amount of fuel they are importing. When you look at the Busia BOSP homebound fuel truck in comparison to the months, it's the same information. When you look at 10th January and 12th January, where we cleared only 37, this could have been the only day where we cleared less trucks. But when you do the average, we have 126 trucks cleared per day. The last table is the companies that have been importing fuel and the volumes between 1st of January to 22nd of January. You can see Vivo Energy has brought in 31 million liters. Total has brought in 22. So what this means is, if there is hoarding, it is Vivo and Total hoarding this fuel, because they are the ones importing a significant amount of fuel. The committee observes that with these statistics, it is clear that fuel is actually getting into the country, but some fuel importing companies and fuel stations are taking advantage of the current situation to hoard and sell fuel expensively. The country needs 6.6 million liters a day, which is an equivalent of approximately 180 trucks to meet the daily demand and consumption. The truck averages and volumes show that the Ugandan market received more average volumes than in the last 6 months before the crisis, as you have seen in those graphs. And even in our visit, during our visit to Hoima, one of the petrol station owners told us they didn't have fuel. But when we went to check his fuel tanks at the petrol station, we discovered he had 12 million liters, 12,000 liters, sorry.
Honorable members. Honorable members, the interruption is out of some people are stepping on the wires. That's what I've got from the technical team. So if there is any wire near you, please.
Lastly, the breakdown of the scanners at the border. The scanner at Busia border used by custom officials to check vehicles was knocked in the middle of the truck pile between January 14 and 17. URA has 6 mobile scanner trucks. URA has 6 mobile scanner trucks, Nuktec MT series, namely UAA 765T, UAA 766F, UBK 998T, UBK 635J, UBK 814X, respectively. When the scanner at the border was knocked, Uganda Revenue Authority had to request their head office.
Excuse me, which microphone is that? Yes.
When the scanner at the border was knocked, URA requested their head office in Kampala to send a mobile scanner, UBK814K, to help replace the Busia scanner that had been knocked. However, the above equipment moves at a standard 30 kilometers per hour, therefore taking over 8 hours, all factors remaining constant to reach its destination. The committee observes that the faulty scanner caused the backlog of over 400 trucks cleared daily at the Busia border, since its temporary replacement was over 8 hours away, all factors remaining constant, and thus this is one of the possible causes of the current 50-kilometer plus queue of trucks in Western Kenya. trying to go through the Ugandan border entry points in Busia and Malaba. 7.0, underlying factors that have exacerbated the negative impact of the crisis. These are factors that caused it to go to the extreme, but were not the causes. The absence of fuel reserves. You are going to realize we not only don't have reserves, but we also no longer own the reservoirs. The importance of fuel reserves to Uganda's economy, I think you all know the importance. Challenges at the reserve. The capacity of the national reserves. The Jinja Reserve was commissioned in 1988, specifically to serve eastern Uganda, and the current fuel consumption per region stands as follows in the table. Central per year, 2021, Central Uganda consumed 1.3 million liters. Eastern Uganda consumed 303,000 liters. Northern Uganda consumed 220,000 liters, and Western and Southwestern respectively. Financing. The committee was informed by UNOC that there has been a resource constraint to allocate funds to procurement and stocking of the strategic reserves in the country and funding to strategic petroleum supply infrastructure. UNOC stated that a proposal for funding reserves and strategic petroleum supply infrastructure is being discussed with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Legal and regulatory frameworks. The committee was informed that by UNOC that Uganda imports its fuel through Kenya and Tanzania, and that the strategic and the logistics of fuel supply are affected by regulatory frameworks. And these transit countries, 90% of imports are through Kenya, open tender system where sometimes there is inadequate allocations of fuel transiting to Uganda. This is one of the constraints to importing and supplying petroleum products in bulk to the country. Transportation. The committee was informed by UNOC that the absence of a bulk and efficient transportation means that the country levies oil marketing companies with the only option of picking products from Kenya by trucks direct to retail stations. Comparative analysis. Different countries have employed different strategies in maintaining reserves, depending on the capabilities to adapt to different disruptions in the supply chain. I will read a few for the interest of time. In landlocked Malawi, stocks are held by their national oil company in government terminals across the country. A levy is charged on all stocks imported into the country to fund reserves and petroleum infrastructure. Ghana and Botswana use the related policies to fund petroleum infrastructure and reserves. All these are in your, we have given 5 examples. All these are in the report uploaded on your iPad. 7.1.3, analysis of UNOC management of the Jinja National Reserves and Storage Terminal. Uganda has 30 million litre storage capacity at Jinja meant to hold national reserves. This is equivalent to 4.6 days of stock per daily demand of 6.5 litres. Government is meant to ensure that the national reserves have at least 12 million litres, this is 40%, of the total 30 million litres capacity storage facility in Jinja. Government has since March 2012 handed over operation of the national reserves to MS Harrod Petroleum Limited. However, owing to the challenges encountered in restocking the facility, the operator returned the facility to government. On the 29th of May 2017, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development handed over the National Strategic Reserve Facility at Jinja to UNOC and entrusted it with the responsibility of restocking, operating, managing, and maintaining to fulfill both national strategic and attendant commercial purposes of the facility for and on behalf of the government of Uganda in accordance with the Petroleum Supply Act 2003 and other relevant policy legislation. The ministry noted in its handover letter dated 29th May 2017 signed by Frank Tukwasiwe, Commissioner for Petroleum Supply Department for Permanent Secretary, that it is paramount, among others, that UNOC does whatever it takes to effectively run the facility and particularly ensure 40% of the storage capacity at the facility is available and always stocked with national strategic stocks if the facility's objectives in the Petroleum Supply Act 2003 is to be fulfilled. On May 31st, 2017, UNOC entered into a joint venture agreement with a consortium of 3 companies, which are One Petroleum Limited, One Petroleum Uganda Limited, and Mbaraki Bulk Terminal Limited for management and operation of the Jinja National Reserves and Storage Terminal. On 9th May 2017, UNOC sent out invitation to companies to submit bids to manage the storage terminal. UNOC undertook a joint venture agreement with the consortium. According to the agreement, clause 8.3 of the consortium undertakes to stock the facility with petroleum products to its full capacity by 31st July. When UNOC gave these reserves to a company, this consortium of companies, clause 8.3 stated that they must stock these reserves to their full capacity by 31st July 2017, which is 30 million liters. Further still, clause 8.4 of the consortium was to ensure that the facility would at all times have not less than 40% of the storage capacity with UNOC. That the parties signed the second addendum ETC as follows. The committee observations. The committee observed that whereas the Ministry of Energy handed over the Jinja Storage Terminal facility to UNOC on 29th of May 2017, UNOC had on 9th May 2017, 20 days earlier, before they gave them this facility, already invited bids for companies to manage the facility, which they were not in possession of legally. The committee further observed that UNOC evaluated bids and selected the consortium of One Petroleum Limited, One Petroleum Uganda Limited, and Mbaraki Bulk Terminal Limited to manage and operate the Jinja National Reserves and Storage Terminals through a joint venture agreement signed on 31st May 2017, just 2 days after the handover letter, and before receiving the handover report, which was due in 2 weeks' time, as per the letter dated 29th May 2017 of Reverend Frank Kwasiwe for Permanent Secretary. 3. The committee observed that the agreement was signed on 31st May 2017 for a period of 10 years. The first addendum to the agreement, however, which extended the consortium to a period of 5 more years, was signed on 1st August 2018. 1 year into the 10-year agreement, they signed another agreement to extend for 5 more years. Section 23(1) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 provides that a vote shall not enter into a contract, transaction, or agreement that binds the government to a financial commitment for more than 1 financial year, or which results into contingent liability, except where the financial commitment or contingent liability is authorized by Parliament. 4. The committee observed that in the second addendum, clause 8.61 in the consortium was supposed to design and develop lake transport developments at JST for utilization of transport of petroleum products over Lake Victoria at their own cost. So they gave them 5 more years and told them to build infrastructure at their own cost. These were facilities stated in clause 1 of the first addendum required to enable transportation of petroleum products over water on Lake Victoria from the port of Kisumu and or any other port on Lake Victoria and over land. The committee observed that the Cabinet Minister for Energy and Mineral Development wrote to the Minister responsible for Finance on 18th January 2022, communicating a decision of Cabinet to finance UNOC to a tune of $30 million for commencing the process of procuring fuel reserves for 5 days and $8 million for construction of a jetty and pipeline system so as to connect the terminal to Lake Victoria and therefore deliver fuel by barges from Kisumu. It is the considered view of the committee that this amounts to government undertaking an obligation of the consortium under the joint venture agreement with UNOC, therefore attempting to duplicate and, if done, tantamount to causing financial loss to government. Because they have already contracted the company to do it, now government is looking for money to do it. 6. The committee observes that whereas clause 8.4 of the joint venture agreement, which was deleted in its entirety in the second addendum last year, in around August 2019, they signed another addendum and deleted clause 8.4, which ensured that that company was to maintain a certain number of 40% in their reserves. Maintained at Jinja Reserve, this can no longer be achieved under the current undertaking and is one of the reasons that exacerbated the fuel crisis in the country. The committee was shocked and dumbfounded that the second addendum to the agreement now requires government through UNOC to pay the consortium for storage in the facility, should they require to store reserves at the facility. It means even if we want to store fuel in the reserves, we now have to pay over 5.5 shillings per litre we store there. The committee further observes that between May 2017 and August 21, clause 8.3 and 8.4, which were in fulfillment of the country's strategic reserves requirement, were continuously breached, but instead the consortium was rewarded by deleting the clauses which would have been a fallback position for the country during the fuel crisis. Unregulated fuel stations. In Hoima, it was established that a number of smaller fuel stations without the capacity to import their own fuel were forced to purchase fuel at a retail price. When the big companies hoarded fuel, they started selling the fuel to the smaller stations at a retail price as opposed to the current wholesale price. This is probably why the process went up to 20,000 shillings, why the fuel prices in Hoima went up to 20,000 shillings per litre in some areas under the watch of both security and local leaders who are left with no choice but to lament. In conclusion, general recommendations of the committee. The joint venture agreement between UNOC and the consortium should be terminated with immediate effect, since the second addendum to the agreement is a fundamental deviation from the mandate of UNOC under the Petroleum Supply Act 2003, and the handover letter of the Ministry of Energy, in which the company is supposed to ensure at whatever cost that it effectively runs the facility, and particularly ensures that 40% of the storage capacity in the facility is available and always stocked with national strategic stocks. Further still, the consortium breached the following terms in the agreement. Clause 8.3, wherein the consortium undertook to stock the facility with petroleum products to its full capacity. Clause 8.4, where the consortium was supposed to ensure the facility will at all times have not less than 40%. Clause 9.1, the second addendum, wherein the consortium is supposed to meet the minimum throughput. These breaches warranty termination of the agreement without causing government financial loss. 2, upon the termination of the joint venture agreement between the consortium and UNOC, government should urgently prioritize and avail the necessary financial resources to UNOC to procure fuel for the reserves, as well as development of the necessary water transport infrastructure on Lake Victoria, which would save transport companies 30 shillings per litre using water transport as opposed to road transport. It would also be less likely to be affected by road transport-related challenges and inefficiencies. 3, government should fast-track consumer protection law. We need a consumer protection law because even now we are lamenting fuel prices have gone up, but we don't have a law we can use to protect the consumer, which, if had been in existence, would have protected the consumer from exploitation through indiscriminate pricing, deceptive weights and measures where pump owners intentionally gave less fuel than what is paid for at the pump, and misleading fuel prices display at stations. This was in Hoima. Someone would display 3,000, but at the station the attendant would charge you 5,000 plus. The last time the country had a similar crisis was in the days of the post-election violence in Kenya 2008, when Uganda was cut off from its main supply route, and similarly Kenya elections are due this year, which may have a repeated effect. Therefore, government should fast-track the construction of the Kampala storage terminal, which is to store about 6 million litres of fuel, as this would treat the issue of the obsolete oil reserves in Jinja. Government should also expand the road infrastructure at the border for safety, especially at the current highly populated border points, towns where fuel trucks park in long queues, and to improve traffic flow of the cargo trucks in and out of the country, especially in instances where they are transporting perishable or highly inflammable products. This was raised by Honorable Macho yesterday. Minister of Trade doesn't have a solution to this problem. It is Minister of Works to expand the road infrastructure. The committee recommends that government purchases and installs a second scanner at the border, at all border points, to mitigate the economic impact of any seemingly unforeseen related crisis. Government should also implement all its directives harmoniously in consultation with all relevant ministries and agencies, and to take into consideration the impact assessment so as to mitigate the challenges. In conclusion, honorable members and Right Honorable Speaker, according to the committee's findings, there are a number of reasons as to why the current fuel crisis still exists, as discussed in the report. However, it's pertinent to note that Uganda has no fuel reserves, stock reservoirs currently. This renders it vulnerable to the crisis, as these being that the country is rendered lockdown. Also, UNOC has to up its effort to be up to its task. Being a state enterprise, it should jealously guard the interests of government and Ugandans as a whole. I beg to report.
Honorable Chair, I sincerely want to thank you, the committee, for the good work. And I hope the minister was noting some issues that the chair was talking about. And before I allow the debate, I would like the minister, as part of his response to the report, to inform this House why to this date and age, we do not have fuel reserves, leaving us in a vulnerable position of what we have gone today. I want you to respond to that. Not now, I'm still asking you. Secondly, it is not a secret that this is a disturbing situation, and this situation was created artificially. And the artificial people that created it are Minister of Health and URA. Did we need to do all what they wanted us, what those people had to do? It is a problem that has been. We should be able to make policies that are for the people of Uganda, not for people who just feel we want to achieve. What do we want to achieve? Do we want to achieve at the expense of the Ugandans? These obviously affected the poor Ugandan outside there. These policies that they did not consult anybody, they rushed in a haphazard way, affected the poor Ugandans. As observed in the committee report, under item 6.1 in page 6 and 7 of the report, these are management and administrative issues which should have been sorted out. Do we still have managers in Uganda? What are they doing if they are there? This is not the first time this haphazard designing and implementation of policies is being done. It was also done when we were trying to do the cash bonanza of the 100 for borders and whatever. On the report that was discussed yesterday, it is still going to be done on the teachers, members. Are we going to allow this kind of thing to continue? You remember how there was chaos at the airport when the first time they introduced the testing at the airport, how people could be bundled into buses. Even those who are not sick would eventually get affected. The Ministry of Health is hereby directed to critically study the implications of their policies and the design. As we struggle to revive the ailing economy, we should all play our part, not to be part of the problem of Uganda. COVID-19 is here to stay, and if we continue acting the way we are acting, then we will break the economy. Let's have policies that are friendly to the local Ugandans. The fuel prices, some of us have not felt it, but so many people have felt it. They have felt it. Eh? Huh? We must continue to be conscious and vigilant on whatever we do as an organization and humanity in the policies that we make. As observed by the committee, the absence of the consumer protection law is greatly harmful to the population. If the law was in existence, it would have protected the consumers from exploitation and then indiscriminative pricing. That what he was saying, if you went, a pump attendant would tell you 5,000. Yet, if another person went, they would tell a different price. So we need this law in place for us to be able to protect our consumers who are suffering out of other people's negligence. Let's give people better policies. Minister, you need to do a lot in this. We may claim that the prices have come down, but the prices are still high. You need to go and have those people who are hoarding fuel culpable. People who are hiking the prices, they must face the law. Why would they hike the prices? This is your department and you must be seen to work for the poor Ugandans. I want to thank you so much. I am opening the debate. Margaret, Nathan, Amos, Charles, you're going to debate. Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Procedure.
Let her finish. There's no procedure. She's a maiden speech. It's a maiden speech.
Proceed on me. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity you've given me. I want to take the opportunity to appreciate the Minister for the statement and also the committee for the report. However, Right Honorable Speaker, it is disheartening to find out that people who would have planned for our country, they are instead making us not to develop well. Because fuel is a key factor in the development of this economy, and when we don't have control over it, many things can mess up. Just like the Minister said, that the committee said that we don't have the oil reserves in this country, something which is terrible, and I think we need to task those who are supposed to handle or to plan for our country to make sure that at least we provide the resources to put in place the oil reserves. The Minister also talked about
2 minutes.
planning.
Members, 2 minutes so that everybody speaks. A minute, eh?
Right, Honorable Speaker, in my 1 minute remaining, the Minister talked of having a priority route for our fuel to come from Kenya to Uganda, and that was Lumino, Majanji, up to Musita. That route goes through or via Namayingo. Already the road is okay, but what has made the route not to be utilized? For us to reach that extent of the fuel going up, of the crisis coming on, all this can affect our economy. So I want to implore the Minister that at least put in place what is required so that we can be able to get this fuel via that route, because it is now okay and clear. I want to appreciate you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, since I'm seated this side of the House, I want to speak the language of this side. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the chairman of the committee for a very wonderful report. But Chair, Madam Speaker, I'm disappointed with the Minister. Minister, there is a book in the Bible of lamentation. This Parliament made for you an act. That is Petroleum Supply Act of 2003. And in your report, you have even quoted section 30 of that act, where you have the powers to act on those who are holding fuel. Since that time up to today, what are you doing with the act?
Last night I was watching the senior minister, Honorable Ruth Nankarua, saying the same, that she has identified a section in the act and she's going to act. When are you acting, Mr. Minister? For us in marketing, we say that a customer expects a good or a service, but not an excuse, which you are giving us. But also Chancellor Bismarck said that the great question of the day is not answered by your speeches and resolutions, but by the acts. Can you act now? The customers are suffering, Ugandans are suffering. Please, Honourable Minister, act now. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Amos. Charles.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Ministers, you
I want to appreciate my colleagues and the contributions they've made so far. I want to appreciate the observations made by the Minister, but more especially the Chairman of the committee. Whereas we are cognizant of the fact that there has been an increase in the oil prices, when you refer to Brent, shifting to $86 per barrel, whereas it is true the shipping costs have gone high, and also true that there was an interruption by the recent COVID test. We have had a big stopgap measure that has lacked with government, but I want to refer to these issues. Like my colleagues have said, the Petroleum Supply Act, and Honourable Minister, you've told us that they have been observing 10 days reserves, but you've not talked about the 100 days reserves that we ought to have, which is very critical. And this is the problem. Whereas you've said that there's a problem with the scanner at the border and the congestion, I don't think up to now we should be enforcing the fuel marking policy. It should be suspended indefinitely, because we know that fuel, once it is loaded, it has already even paid the taxes. We have these gadgets that do the tracking system. Why do we have to stop them and have these companies to do the fuel marking? That also exaggerates the problem. I want to appreciate the observation that we are now interesting ourselves to use the Central Corridor. In your report, you called it the Southern Corridor, but now it is called the Central Corridor, the corridor through the port of Dar es Salaam. That is what is very important for us as a country. Unless we observe this issue, we are going to remain paying high costs at the port of Mombasa. We'll have a congested northern corridor, and I pray Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for allowing me another minute because of this intervention. If we promote the Central Corridor, we'll be decongesting the Northern Corridor. And we don't need even to give rebates like you've proposed. It is a matter of promoting this under the Ministry of Trade by mobilizing our traders and using the Central Corridor. And yet we know very soon, because of these high costs in shipping lines, we are going to have our ports, the port of Mombasa particularly, overloaded, and we shall pay high costs. Even the impending politics that are in Kenya, like the chairman of the committee has observed, we should promote, therefore, to use the Central Corridor. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I will lament a bit. Mine is in relation to stability of the fuel prices. I think a couple of years ago, the country had the opportunity to buy fuel stations when I think Shell was selling off. And unfortunately, Vivo Energy seized the opportunity. But I think as a country that was going down the petroleum sector, I think that was a very good opportunity. We had the president about a week ago lament why we sold UCB. And so some of the instabilities in terms of interest rates are because we don't have such government entities. So I think whenever we are planning in future, let's think about 50 years ahead. Then secondly, it's quite unfortunate about the queues at the border, but cognizant of the fact that the health sector also had its objectives. I think we can coexist in future better. And I think it's also high time that we put our border entry points to the international standards. It was such a pity when Kigali opened up. They have beauty on one side and we are a bit failing on the other side. So I think the line ministries should think better and put the right infrastructure in place. Thank you.
Panado, Macho. I'm coming there. Macho just has this problem.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for his good submission concerning the long line of trailers on the border, which he said in his statement that it has cleared. Mr. Minister, you are living in another country. In Busia, as I talk now, we have now 3 lanes of trailers, and they are going up to Sitema checkpoint. And right now, as I talk, the Minister of Internal Affairs, Afande Muhoozi, David, is in Busia. And Madam Speaker, we are having a problem. Ministers coming to our constituencies, which we elected with massive support without telling us. Madam Prime Minister, we need you to help us, because our only job we can do is to represent our people and talk. So they come and meet civil servants who tell them what they want and bring that as a report in the cabinet. I don't know how you will help us solve this problem, but General David Muhoozi, the Minister of Internal Affairs, is in Busia right now because Tororo Road has trailers almost up to Mawero. Majanji Road has trailers almost up to Madivira. Kasam Road have 4 lines. I am a born again. Jinja Road has trailers. And in case Madam Minister of State for Trade, you want to prove this, Madam Speaker, I refer you to the Minister of Internal Affairs, who is in Busia now, and the RDC. Second, Madam Speaker, Mr. Chairman,
Honorable Minister, it is out of courtesy that when your colleague,
not for now, Madam Minister.
Excuse me, Madam Minister.
Madam Minister, I want you to respect the
you.
Speaker of Parliament. She's giving a directive.
All of you sit.
Madam Speaker.
All of you sit. Honorable Minister, it is out of courtesy when your colleague is talking. You don't heckle. You request for time, and then you respond. He is from that place. For you, you are here. He is coming from Busia now. Maybe you need to find out whether it is true or not from your colleague, Honorable Muhoozi. That's what you needed to do. You see, we are not in this house to firefight. If he's giving information, receive it. When you receive it, you'll come back to this house and say, Honorable Macho was lying. But what he has raised on the issue of when you go to my constituency, please have courtesy to inform me. For me, if you go to Bukede, I will chase you. If you go to my constituency without telling me, I will chase you.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for your guidance. Madam Speaker, truly the fact of the matter, I left Busia at midnight to come because of this debate today. And as I talk now, the business community as customers are watching trailers that have stood for almost 14 days. Trailers, because they keep coming 14 days, are not selling because the trailers have blocked their shop doors. I have a witness here, the chairperson for trade and the committee. I have a second witness, the only woman member of parliament for Busia, Honorable Auma, she's my witness. And the fact, if the people of Busia would have seen you standing to come and question me, let me reserve that. But lastly, Madam Speaker.
Auma, do you want to give information? Please give information.
Information permitted, Madam. Honorable Auma.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have information. Yes, I confirm. I was in Busi on Monday. There's traffic jam of trucks. The customs are blocked. Actually, there's no way you can cross. It takes you some good time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, Madam Speaker, as I finish. Lastly, Madam Speaker, as I finish. Mr. Chairman of Trade, I want to thank you for a good, comprehensive report concerning the issue of oil and fuel. Madam Speaker, the truth of the matter, the oil route from Kisumu to Jinja was given to one company, which I think under an unclear way. The oil reserves in Jinja were given in a very wrong way. My prayer, Madam Speaker, that at least whether possible a commission of inquiry should be put to dig details into issues of oil hoarding and the issue of the reserves of this country. But lastly, Madam Prime Minister, help us with ministers who are coming to our constituencies without telling us they don't want us to come back. What shall we do when we don't come here and our role is talk to our people? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Obama, that is Hoima. Hoima.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I think my colleague is still
Haji.
Hoima.
Hoima.
But there is Hoima Road in Kampala Central.
Sit.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I had something like Hoima Road. It's just that's there near Bakuri, and there is a fuel station called Total.
You see the problem? Medi is defiant. So just let him talk and he goes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank you. First of all, allow me to join the House in thanking the chairperson and the Committee on Trade for the good report. Honorable Minister tried to throw light, but it was short of truth. And I would like to say that probably he was sanitizing his report. Not in bad faith, I have a lot of respect for Mzee Lokeris, and he knows that. But now, let's look at the statistics around us. We are landlocked, Rwanda is, Burundi is, and South Sudan. Okay? Because if I talk about Tanzania and Kenya, you'll say they have access to the sea. Prices, pump fuel prices of these countries, from the data we have, is much lower than that of Uganda. And these are part of them have transit points through Uganda, like Rwanda and Eastern Congo. Eastern Congo is partly landlocked because it doesn't have access through the sea from the other side. Now, we have much lower prices. You have given all the reasons. We've resorted to reserves and talking about X, Y, and Z, but you've not explained the reason as to why. In the last 5 years, the price of fuel in Uganda has risen by over 1,100 shillings. Every time we talk about it, you have a reason. Now, when we were here in 2016, we talked about the reserves. They said we will come up, you stated you will come up with UNOC, and UNOC will be in charge of the reserves. Indeed, time came to pass, and now, Right Honorable Speaker, from the report of the Honorable colleague, you can clearly see that there is mismanagement of the reserves. We are in the Finance Committee, and colleagues can bear me witness. I posed the question.
Technical people, what is happening?
Right Honorable Speaker, while it's in the Committee of Finance, in November, I posed a question to the Honorable Attorney General and UNOC that were present to give the committee, it's very unfortunate, to give the committee the status of the fuel reserves in Jinja. And because we have recordings of proceedings of committees, this must tantamount to perjury, telling lies this parliament. They stated that we have reserves, and I insisted. And I even have members of the committee that can bear witness. And I said that time will tell that in this country, we no longer have decent people that can tell the countrymen the truth. Indeed, there were no reserves. There were no fuel reserves. When a junior officer tried and attempted to make a statement about the matter and stated that they are under renovation, the chairperson gagged him and said, "You cannot speak, wait for the minister." When the minister came in, they spoke lies. I'm on record, and I have members to bear witness who are here. He's a member, he's a member, he's a member. Right Honorable Speaker, like you've stated, and I welcome your remarks, these are administrative matters. Every loss that we've made as countrymen in the last 1 month, from every liter you've been consuming, just know there is some of your wealth that has been taken away just because someone went to sleep. Don't take it lightly that fuel prices go up and it's normal. From your payment here, you're paid on town service, town run, based on the fuel you use, meaning it's paid at a certain price. That includes your movement to the constituents and even an ordinary Ugandan moving his child to school. When fuel prices go up, there is some inflation that goes up in the economy, meaning the real income of people goes down. Therefore, honorable members, we cannot sit here and take it as business as usual that people just come to explain and walk away. The regulator, where have you been? You can't say that you've only discovered that there is a section in the act that gives you powers to reign on these people. No, you're paid to have advisors, legal advisors in your ministries in order to brief you all this. And now that you've discovered that it is as such, what have you done? The fuel price is at 5,000 and above, depending on where you stay. In Western Uganda, it's worse, and in Northern Uganda. Therefore, you can't sit here and just say that fuel is determined by the free forces of demand and supply. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world on fuel. Why? Fuel prices determine prices of nearly everything, from food to other supplies that you use. 2, Right Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, the hoarding of fuel in this country cannot be done without people having an eye and ear somewhere. If you want to know that systems function here, just tweet even a message, you'll understand the wrath of the state. So, to tell me that people are hoarding fuel and the state doesn't come out with this coercive machinery to rein on this, that means you're only passing a vote of no confidence in your own self. You must stand up and state that company X, Y, and Z, after our tour, we found out that they were hoarding fuel to this. Then there is a given reserve under section 26(2) of this act, that every fuel station that is licensed or every fuel operator that is licensed must have reserves of 10 days plus. Before you even look at the national reserves, and who is the regulator and the enforcer? It's you, the ministry. Therefore, you should take responsibility and apologize. Don't come here with reasons and say, probably we've been at slumber. This has been an awakening call. We apologize to you, countrymen. We are going to start tomorrow. And people will have confidence that, yes, we have a government that listens and cares, not a government that pays a deaf ear when its people are crying. Fuel affects you, it affects me, though it affects you personally, since you have a fuel card. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
We actually want you to do an operation on petrol stations that have hiked prices. We have security operatives. We want you to do an operation and make sure fuel is back at the price that is supposed to be. And the reserves of 10 days plus must be observed. Don't just sit and say it will come down. We are going to act. No. What people are saying is, what a report. I wish I was you. You'd take time and read this report. Take time and read the report. Because for me, I didn't see.
Thank you very much. Right, Honourable Speaker. We are being disrupted by technology, and I wanted to move that we adjourn the House so that, because we can't follow, and there's a lot of disruption, and I'm afraid more damage might be made to the IT system. So I wanted to request, Madam Speaker, that you put the question, and then we adjourn, and maybe we continue next week when the IT officers have sorted out the technical issues.
Members, personally, I can't even hear what is being talked. And we all, the question is, are we safe? And the other issue is, I'm also impressed that everybody appreciates the report. I now put a question that the report of the Sectoral Committee of Tourism, Trade and Industry on fuel crisis in the country be adopted by this August House. Those in favor say aye. And the ayes have it. Members, we adjourn the House to Tuesday at 2. Honorable Mutembule, our succession bill.